how long I've been waiting for this. Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I don't think you guys walk away from this.
You just make sure people know what happened.
Peace, and blessings, everyone. I hope y'all having a wonderful Sunday, December 24th, 2024. We are having a show that will make you dig deep. Go back and look at the history books. Erase the notion of the slave trade as we know it, as Hollywood portrayed, as the agenda portrayed. We will open the door to what was going on in the time of colonialization to now, and what was the slave trade, who participated in the slave trade, who was the slave, or was it really slavery at all? This and more will be on the show. So no further ado, we're going to introduce my co-host, no other than Shin Akma himself. What's up? How you doing today?
Hey, I'm chilling. You already know. It's your boy Shinakama Jamael back in the building. Newsroom 16.1. Holla at me. You already know this is what we getting and this is where we at. Freeman out this. Just make sure we bring up the subject matter too. Let them know we're Freeman out here too.
Yes. Today we're going to be talking about feudal lordships, the feudal system, feudalism, the hidden trade of America. What was going on? We got to remember, before American Revolution, we was under a king. With that king, there's knights, there's nobles. Each of these individuals was able to have land. We're going to go deep.
It's going to be deep in this mug. We going to expose some skeletons in America's closet today.
Yes. See, with feudalization, go ahead, Shinakama, can you read about feudalization?
Yes, sir. Hold on. Give me a shot. Let me just bring it up.
Okay.
Here we go. A freeman refers to a person who is not bound to a lord as a serf and therefore enjoys a degree of personal freedom, including the right to own land, to move freely, and generally have more autonomy compared to those tied to the manor. Essentially, a free tenant who owns minimal service to their lord and pays rent for their land, unlike a serf who is obligated to work on their lord's land directly. In the colonial times, a stonemason apprentice.
Wait, stop right there.
Yes, sir.
Stop right there. Let's go over that first part. So, looking at that definition of freeman, that would take the notion out of black people, because in American history book, when they use the word freeman, it's only related to black African Americans or Native Americans that dealing with Native Americans, like the freeman role. We can't forget about the freeman role. So
yeah, don't forget what Dane Calloway said too, that we're not talking about freedmen, we're talking about freemen. There's two different subjects that they try to interconnect by way of phonetic similarity. Of freeman, we're talking about Freeman, not a Freedman. There's a difference.
yes. So when we look at this term, we can actually see that if we let's go from colonization all the way to the freeman role. When we look at this, you could say these was the Native American royals. These was people who was not tied to no land. These was literally people who had land and also might have had serfs with them. You would say chiefs of the tribes. The freemen was the chief over the tribes. They would have been the ones who on that road. So going into you can skip down and go into feudalization.
All right, you want me to skip down a little bit? All right,
Yeah,
I got you.
go to
A feudal
feudalization.
system is not the same as slavery, but within the feudal society, a form of labor called serfdom existed, which shared some characteristics with slavery, particularly in the sense of being tied to the land and working for a lord for limited personal freedom.
So now,
well, in the last show, serfdom, the serfs, we were talking about that when I said it, the fiefdom, because fiefdom is run. See, in feudalism, the serfdom is like a modern day capacity of like a city, where the lord is considered the mayor or the governor of the state would be the lord. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But in the hold on, let me just get to the difference between the two.
Yeah.
The fiefdom, the difference is instead of it being a governmental body like a or a governor, it was the pastor or the bishop who was running the land in the fiefdom. So you'd have to be under the pastor or the bishop.
Yeah, because you see this right here. The town hall, when we look at Patriots, the movie Patriots, the town hall, the person who was over the town hall was the reverend. The reverend has a lot to say in the town hall. Everybody come inside the church. When it was a town meeting, they came inside the church. Remember when the British burnt it up, brought everybody in the village inside the church and burnt it up?
And if most people notice, the city hall always looks like a church.
Yes. So we look at it like this also. We was under United States, the United States 13 colonies, even French colony, Spain colonies, all these colonies came from kingdoms. And when we look at England, we had Great Britain running us, the United States. With that, that was a king and a royalty in itself. So a lot of the people that he sent over, governors, mayors, soldiers, these was royalty, these was nobles. A soldier would come from the noble families. It would come from a citizen. A real citizen is a noble. Even like Rome, even with the Roman Empire, just because you was in the Roman Empire did not make you a Roman citizen. Being a Roman citizen is that you are a citizen of the capital Rome itself. So now, with that said, in America, they son royalty, nobles, preachers, and these people, you could say, started the plantation. The ones who started the plantation is the one who getting allotted land.
And don't
So
forget,
now,
that's why they ratified. Don't forget, we are forgetting something based on that too. That's why they ratified the second 13th Amendment that overrode the first 13th Amendment.
yeah,
And people don't even know that in the colony, it was originally a 13th Amendment before the freedom of slavery,
yeah,
which was if you have a title of nobility, in order to come into the land of the United States of America, you have to vacate your title of nobility in order to operate in any type of business capacity or legal capacity within the government of the United States. Meaning you couldn't even work here or get money in America, like say if you was the Queen of England's nephew and you the Duke and you come here, your title of Duke don't mean nothing when you come to America. It don't mean anything. That's why when the Pope came, they was trying to say he had no real title when he visited America, but yet they had him moving through the street like he was the president.
Yeah. So yes, with that said, that was later on, but in the 13th, before American Revolution, the ones who founded the American Revolution, the ones who participated in the American Revolution, when they even wrote the Bill of Rights and the Constitution itself, we the people was not every citizen, everyone. They did not mean that when they wrote the Constitution. When people talk about the elites, these are nobles, family who've been around since the founding of this nation.
Yeah, just like that little girl reported, you did the show on that before. We might have to do another show about that again. About that little girl who did the report on everybody who been the president, except for two people, go back to one common ancestor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? King Richard.
Facts. Yes, even Obama, where
Even
you
Obama,
could trace.
right.
So understand this.
Even Donald Trump too. Let's not be hasty out here. Let's say what it really is. Even
Wait.
Trump,
Before we get into throwing who, we gotta realize this: that if say me, I run for president, a normal person, a regular person out the street say I'm gonna run for president, I could go to me myself, I could go to my great grandma in my birth chart. But to go all the way back to colonial days and find your relative, that's not a genealogy test. That's a family tree. That's
legitimate. That's not DNA. That's paperwork.
Yes. So if
you
people got
be able
paperwork,
to get legalities fall with paperwork. That's what I tell people about that DNA. That DNA could tell you whatever it wants to tell you, but this birth certificate is going to tell me everything I need to know.
Yeah. So when you have like say Obama, when they trace his family line all the way to the first slave on his mother's side, I knew out top that this was somebody who getting put here by the elites, by the ones who actually run this country. Because now when we understood that this was a feudal system because we had kings running here. Then we see the nobles. So now let's see the serfs. The serf is connected to the land. This is what you could say European. You feel? Hey, let me pop something up real quick.
Bring it out, cause you know we ain't about nothing but the
Yes, I'm about to
information over
bring it
here.
out. Bring it out. Baguettes in your mouth.
Yeah, bring it out, because you know how these people be talking about with the DNA test. We got to show them how the paperwork is more vital than the DNA test.
So right here, can you see it?
Not yet. You got to bring it out. There it is. In 17th and 18th century, more than 300,000 white people were shipped to America as slaves. Hold on, let me read that again for the people that didn't hear me. In the 17th and the 18th century, more than 300,000 white people were shipped to America as slaves. We know this is a fact.
This just the British colony. This was also getting done in French colonies, because people got to understand that when the French came, they wasn't planning on settling Louisiana till later on. And when they did settle, a lot of soldiers came over and they needed women. And a lot of the time, because they had laws, they had rules from the Catholic Church in their churches not to mingle with the natives. So a lot of the time, they would go to brothels, pick women out the streets, and literally impale them, kidnap them, enslave them, and ship them to America to get married. They would literally ship them as slaves for breeder. So look at, when you see breeder, that's that slave farm in Virginia. Remember they talk about slave farm, breeding the slaves?
That's the buck breaking farm. You talk about that buck breaking farm.
No. This different. This is where they said they took African men, African women, and all the master would mess with them and have children. They would, but this
that's
right
the
here,
same place, bro. I'm telling you, it was just a big ass plantation where they was doing sex crimes up in there.
It's like when it was like, hey,
they was breeding out women to send to the colony. They was breeding out women to send to the outpost. They was turning them folks out. You know how it is, brother. They was pimping.
Yeah, because people gotta understand
it was an old school version of pimping that was allowed by the church.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like, let's say the city of Plymouth. The city of Plymouth in England. There's the first Plymouth before the Plymouth in America, the Plymouth of England. They start persecuting the Pilgrims who jumped on the Mayflower. See, a lot of people don't realize that in history class in elementary, when they were telling you about the Pilgrim, these was criminals. They persecute them. That means they put them in jail for disobeying the king order. That means they wasn't bound by the religion of the church. They felt like church and state should be separate. Some of them. So what happened was they kicked them out of one place, they moved to another city, and then from there, they took them on a boat and shipped them to America to work the fields and build a colony here in America. The Mayflower. The Mayflower wasn't no ship of explorations. It wasn't no ship looking for religional freedom. This wasn't no ship come and look for gold. This was a ship of religional prisoners, aka slaves to work the land. Like if y'all, the people, go and watch the show that we were talking about, Plantation, we realize that the Lord, the master, or the Lord mayor, the mayor of the city, lived in the plantation house. And surrounded the plantation house is the little houses
Yep. And now we got back to this white cargo over here. That's why you got to realize the people who lived in there now, they try to be perpetrating city councilors, all sorts of other people. Those are just people that we would call the house slaves. And the black community, you know, we got other names for that in the black community, but you know what I'm saying?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
We can't say that, or we getting flagged up here on YouTube, so we gonna call them house people.
So
I was talking about, hey Henry, I was talking about how the mayor had them underlings with him though too. We would call them house people, you know, but nowadays we call them the city council.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we call them house people. But I said in the black community, we got a different name, but we can't say that on YouTube because we might get flagged up.
Yeah. So this how it was put. You have the royalty, the head royal, which own the land. Then you have other royals who have plots of land under the same company, because you gotta look at Plymouth in England. Going back to Plymouth, when they shipped the Pilgrims and they started Plymouth in America, that's when we realized that the city of Plymouth grabbed a charter from the Crown of England and say, we're going to start another city here. What that means is the city of Pilgrim say, hey, all the lords in that city in England who own land say, hey, we're going to take some of our money. We got serfs, we got servants on our land that the king gave us. We're going to ship some of them out because some of them owe debt. They're the prison. Some of them, we getting rid of some of these prostitutes. We getting rid of some of these thieves. Some of these murders we cleaning up. We going to ask them, do they want death imprisonment, or we going to kick them out, period. We're going to put them into the new world that they'll never come back. So once that happened, these are the same slaves that are going to work inside the city, going to work on the plantation for the Lord Mayor. Where was African Americans?
You gotta also realize that it was a viceroy too, though. Don't forget that, because the mayor had to answer to the viceroy.
But we're not getting into that. That's going into deep politics. We just stand to the basics.
Nah, I was saying it because you're asking where the African Americans is at. So the viceroy comes into play because that goes into territorial. Because remember what you said on the other show about the indigenous people, so-called African American people, not being able to come into these serfdoms and these fiefdoms.
Yeah, that's it. Like viceroy, mayors, governors.
The viceroy would be over the indigenous population as well as the The serfdom.
What would we call that today?
The governor.
No, we would call that the U.S. Marshals.
Oh, you're talking about the law enforcement.
Yes, as to the point that enforce the laws of the colony itself. We know it got the Lord mayors over the major city of the colony, but when you go to the outskirts of the cities, traveling to another city, that outskirts would be patrolled by the
And we would say that's state police too, right? State police.
Yes, yes.
The state police would be considered that. The sheriff department.
Yes. So,
which we already know what the sheriff department is for. That's for them brothers getting incarcerated. And we know how they were doing that in the penal colony.
Yes,
some of the cities. So like, we didn't even get into that part yet, Henry, about how in the penal colony, if you was in a colony that was for penal, or for you getting arrested or getting in trouble with the judge, that they got you in there working for free. Because that's the penal colony. That's your payment. Instead of going to jail, you got to go ahead and work off your time served in order to be able to get free. But you got to help them build the colony. You got to build buildings. You might have to do carpentry. You might have to do the stonemasonry. You might have to do any of those skills and labors for free, based on the fact that you was incarcerated in order for you not to be actually physically locked down. Oh, you're back? You got that word right?
Yes, yeah.
All right, word, because I just went into the explaining how the penal colony worked.
Oh, look, it's about to pop out now. That's what I was getting ready to do. I had it on deck. So
yeah, because I already knew where you was going, but I knew you had some technical difficulty, so I had to just keep it moving.
Yeah, here you go, right here. Can you see it? Or you need me to bump it up a little bit?
I got it. Hold on, right there. Yep. A penal colony or exile colony is a settlement to use exile prisoners, separate them from the general population by placing them in a remote location, often an island or a distant colonial territory. Although the term can be referred to as a correctional facility, which is a modern day term, the correctional facility.
Yeah.
Located in a remote location. It is more commonly used to refer to communities of prisoners overseen by the warden or the governor having absolute authority. Absolute authority. Let me say that again. All right, you want me to read that next part? Historically, penal colonies have often been used for penal labor in an economically underdeveloped part of the state, usually colonial territories, and far larger scale than a prison farm.
Right here.
You want me to read this next one?
Yes, some of it.
All right, we're going to go to where? So I know where to start.
Let's start at the beginning.
Where the passage of the Transportation Act 1717, the British government initiated the penal transportation of the indentured servants of the British colonies in America, although none of the North American colonies were solely penal colonies. British merchants would be in charge of transporting the convicts across the Atlantic to the colonies, where they would be auctioned off to planters.
Stop. The word of the day, planters. Remember, with plantation, planters. So they will auction off these people. They would literally auction off white Europeans to the plantation, because the planters. We see the word right here. Let's see if I can highlight it. Can you see the highlight? Auction off to planters.
Right.
Plantation. We see right here where they so-called say indentured servants, but in the same article above, these people would be under the governor and the warden.
And
No
don't
matter
forget,
what.
it's a penal. It's not even indentured servitude. Because think about it. How can it be an indentured servant like a butler or because like you know Jeffrey? Everybody's seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Like Jeffrey and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was working for Uncle Phil under a contract, but he was a free man.
Yes.
So that means he's not a penal convict. You can't be an indentured servant and be a penal convict. That don't make no sense. That's double talking. You can't say the nigga free, but he's under penal pressures. You can't say that. If you're incarcerated all the way. Ain't no halfway incarceration. Even if you're on house arrest, you're incarcerated because if you leave out of the vicinity, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
You're going to the real jail. So we have to understand the words, like you said, the words that they're talking and not try to see what they're trying to, the picture they're trying to paint, but actually hear what they're saying. They said they are penal. So there's no way it can be an indentured servant.
Right. So in the plantations, as we see that they auction off these slaves, these prisoners, political prisoners, debtors, prostitutes, people who don't have land, lauderers, people who just stand and don't have no place to go, no land connected to land. They grab you, they shipping you. Break a law, they shipping you. You becoming a slave to the crown of England.
Hey, you know what's funny about that too? We can do a hyperlink right here, right? And link what we was talking about earlier to what we're talking about now. Now, remember what you just said. You was talking about how they needed prostitutes and all that in the colonies because it was illegal for them to be laying down with indigenous women.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. It wasn't illegal to lay down with indigenous women. It was illegal for them to have children with indigenous women. Let's bring the whole shit out. You know what I'm talking about? Let's bring the whole truth. Now, Henry, if you're up in France, England, Germany, etc., Portugal, Spain, and they over there on strict Roman Catholic Church laws. Now, you get caught doing prostitution, the judge is sentencing you to life imprisonment. Yeah. Now, they going to give you, now tell me if I'm right or am I wrong. Now, when they go for sentencing, they say you can go to life in jail, or we can send you to the penal colony and you go over there, you do your trade in the penal colony and in the colonies, and we gonna give you 7 years of work, and then you're gonna be free. Now, Henry, what do you think a lot of those people was choosing? A lot of them street people was choosing
to get shipped.
And then you know that there's a scientific proof that goes to that, right?
Break
that they
down
said before Christopher Columbus came, right?
Yeah.
In the mainland America, based on fossilization records of human bones, right? Human skeletons, there was no STDs on the continent until the colonizer came. There was no STDs in America until the colonizers came, which also proves that they don't give a damn if you had syphilis, gonorrhea, none of that shit. They was like, oh, you want to go to the penal colony? We sending you. We gonna send you. They didn't care. They wanted to make sure that they had them folks over there, mainly the military, you know what I'm saying? Mainly the military was over there getting service. Because, ain't nobody going to risk their life if they ain't going to deal with the liquor, the drugs, and the women. You already know.
Yeah.
If you go to the front line, you need them liquor, them drugs, and them women. because you know you might not see tomorrow today. So
Yeah,
you know how that.
So when we look at major cities, let me give you an example. You have Lil Boosie. He say he's from the South Side Baton Rouge. Over the tracks.
Right.
Let's look at this deeply. The South Side, historical black neighborhood in Baton Rouge, would be the outskirts of the city. That them tracks would lead to a port. A lot of African American neighborhoods lead to ports to ship them out.
Just think about where you're at. Baltimore, all that is right there too. It's a black neighborhood, Baltimore.
Also in my hometown of Lake Charles, it's the North Side, and it's the tracks cut straight between it to lead straight to the ports. With that, all these historic black neighborhood is an area that's kind of like separated from the major parts of the city itself.
You know what? Let me read something for that. Let me read it. Let me go to it. A definition for you. Right?
Yeah.
We're gonna read this shit right up off here. I'm gonna bring it out. Are you ready? You ready?
Yes, break it down.
All right, here we go, right? Hold on, let me get this real. I'm trying to get this real definition because they trying to play it. They trying to play it out now. All right, here we go. Let's see if they got it. They don't want to give out the Webster Dictionary definition because they already know. Here we go. Let me go to it. Bring this shit right out. Here we go. A ghetto. The ghetto. World War II definition, right?
Yeah.
A ghetto is the part of the city in which members of a minority group, mainly the Jews, yeah, I mean, they don't want to get into that part though. They don't want to hear that part, but we ain't got, this ain't a show about that, but I'm just making sure it's highlighted for everybody. It ain't the Jews you thinking about neither.
Yeah.
Are concentrated, especially in as a result of political, social, legal, religious, environmental, and economic pressure. And the ghettos are often known for being the most impoverished than the other areas of the city. Versions of such restricted areas have been found across the world, each having their own names, classifications, and groupings of people. So you got to understand what Henry is talking about. When they say, oh, I'm from the ghetto, it don't always mean what most people try to apply to that. What it means is it's a concentration of people, a minority group, usually the Jews, for political, social, legal, religious, environmental, and economic pressure. So just like redlining, it's to apply pressure to those people. It's not, that's why we say when you're living in the ghetto, it's like crabs in the barrel.
Yeah.
That's the like, economic and social pressure.
So it's like this. You got, let me bring it back to Kanye West. He was like, slavery was a choice. You got, okay, you got parents. Let's envision this. You got native parents. These people travel. When it get cold, they go south. When it start getting warmer, they go back to their native land. They go to where they chill in the summer and spring. Once they leave for the winter and go south, the colony, when they come back, they realize that the colony came and took their land, moved more building, more people in there. They will fight. Some of the children become entrapped as prisoners of war. Right. The fathers they took care of. the mothers and the children they bring in. They put them in a quarter, an area outside of the city.
Hey, don't forget, you guys, that's down south, you guys got quarters. Up north, we don't got quarters, we got projects. We got projects like that. Yeah, I'm just letting people know because you know it's a different term when you're up north. It's still the same thing. It's just they use a different word to describe it.
So these people who in the quarter cannot leave that area and sell goods outside of that area. They cannot leave that area and go inside the plantation or inside the city at night. When they enter, they got to have permission. They can't sell or buy anything in the city. That's segregation. You can't buy for a white-owned business.
Hold on. You got to add the loophole. You got to add the loophole for the folks. Except if you had a permission slip by the master.
Yes, by the law.
You had to have a handwritten permission slip with his signature on it from his stationery too. It couldn't just be some random letter wrote on some paper scrap or something like that. It had to be a handwritten stationery with his signature and whatever the plantation stamp was in order for you to even operate in a business capacity or to operate at night in the plantation if you was a minority group. Yes.
So now,
which nowadays, Henry, we would call that a license.
Yeah. So we realize
CDL or a driver license or any of that.
So now let's pop out some more information. Okay. We did the penal colony. We did this. So I'm just gonna go into this more deeply. Okay. Here you go. Bingo, bingo, bango. Let's go. Let's get it. Share screen. We're gonna go back into a freeman. You can read this? Is it big enough?
I got you. The term freeman was originally a definition of a status in feudal society, but in England it later became to mean a man possessing the full privileges and immunity of a city, borough, or trade guild. That's a key word right there, guild. Everybody play the game Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. So you know when you get up in the guild, Assassin Guild, Thief Guild, etc. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Basically, we would call that like Teamsters and stuff like that, union. To which the admission was usually by birth, apprenticeship, gift, or a purchase.
So now, this freeman, now we gonna break into this freeman real quick because we the people of the United States are these people, the freemen, who don't have to get stuck to the city. Remember, so-called after slavery, the high man would come and arrest people for loitering. Oh, you not on no land. You don't belong to nobody. When they doing the sharecropping period, because people got to realize sharecropping is the same thing as feudalism. They just changed the name.
Right.
So during the term of slavery,
we gotta link it for them. Because every time we bring up a point, a key point like that, we got to make sure we link it to the modern day version so they can know that we're not talking bullshit.
Yeah.
Now, see, it says birth. Your admission is through birth. Now, where is everybody's birth record held at? It's held in the Hall of Records City Hall, where in the city you was born.
Yeah.
So if you got to get your birth certificate, you have to go back to the place you was born in order to request that record. If I'm born in Providence, I can't be living in Texas and try to go to Dallas City Hall to get my birth records. They ain't gonna have it. I gotta get on a plane, come all the way back to Rhode Island, and get that paperwork because they're the owners of the paperwork, which means that they own my birthrights, my privileges, and my immunities of a city, borough, or trade guild.
Yes. One, when you look at it, is most people don't know that the Civil War was fought over. People think black slavery. No, let's say it was a labor dispute. It was a labor dispute because it was going from neo or new neo-feudal system into an industrial system where you had the Industrial Revolution, where you was transferring from land ownership to actually building commodity and service. So
exactly, because a lot of the service-based commodities are important for labor of actual people. Whereas if the Industrial Revolution, what happened is manufacturing got took over by machines. So there was no more need for forced labor because we had mechanical labor. So the people who needed jobs and had skills in hospitality and various other services, bus driver, truck driving, things that you need human interaction for, that goes on to show that's why a lot of these industries today is mainly giving out jobs as service-based industry. It's not manufacturing.
yeah,
There's no manufacturing because we got machines and robots and AI that can do the manufacturing.
yeah.
Manufacturing is the high-paying jobs. Your ass gonna work at Wendy's because you could serve up some hamburgers. And who knows how long them service jobs got left based on the fact that Elon Musk and these folk about to make every job automated.
Yeah. Then see the kanji in itself, a lot of people thought like, hey, when they talked about the kanji in school and stuff, people think like, oh, they created the kanji. That means you need more slaves now to have higher yield. No, that means less slaves, less labor. When the kanji came out, that made it more easier to produce more cotton with less labor. And jumping back on the subject, we realize this. You could be born a free man. Apprenticeship.
Don't forget they say the cotton gin was the first one for the Industrial Revolution, but if you live in Rhode Island, that's not true because down here we got a place called Pawtucket, and Pawtucket used the waterfall and the waterfall and the water wheel in order to produce mass manufacture bread and different pastry because they was able to use the mills to grind up all the grain without having people to actually grind the grain up like they used to have to do. They would use the machine's power to do it. They got a whole thing in downtown Pawtucket, and next to the river, they got a whole colonial building and all that where you can go up in there You know what I mean? You pay like $10, $15, and they show you how it revolutionized industry and the mass production of food and bread.
Yes, yes.
Which took away a lot of people's job in the bakery. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. So we also see someone could be born a freeman, someone apprenticeship. So you got to understand this. The school system we have today, when your kids go into school and graduate and go into colleges and pick up trades, they are into apprenticeship, into a trade.
That's why it's hey, hold on, let me say something about that. That's why it's hard in 2024 for them not to hire you if you have a high school diploma, because you've already passed the basic skills apprenticeship. So working in a job on a cash register or working flipping hamburgers or whatever it is you do, car washing, whatever you do, if you're applying for that job and you got a high school diploma and somebody else only got a GED or they don't got any type of high school education, they're automatically going to pick you for the job because you have the apprenticeship under your belt.
So let's look at this. If you try to go pick up a bear cub not far from his mama, ain't that bear gonna go crazy?
Oh, that bear's gonna tear you up. You done for.
So now let's look at it like this also. If you're a parent and you put your child in school, you think that's your child. You could tell your child whatever you want. You could do whatever you want with your child. No. Born in apprenticeship. Once that child is in school, the school is over that child. How we know the
Henry,
government?
let me ask you a question. Hold on, Henry. We got to get into this, bro. We got to get into this because you're getting deep, but we need to hit them with some relatable points because everybody here been in public school in America. If not, they've been to any type of school in America. From
that's
the
what I'm getting into.
12th grade.
Because we got
a very important plot.
We got to
get
into
school, Henry. What do we got to go by in order to know what the schedule is about? To go to the next class or to go to lunch? What do they do? What do they use?
Periods, huh?
Yep. And what do they use to end the period and to begin the period?
What's that?
It's out. They do it out loud. They got to ring the bell, right?
Announcements, yeah.
Yep. They got to ring the bell.
Like
yep. I got to go to my next period, my next class.
Henry,
I got to go to lunch. And
Henry,
then when you in the factory, ain't it the same thing?
Henry, can you
hold on? When you're in the factory, don't you got to go by the same rules?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Even in the grocery store, Henry, report to all five, make an announcement. See, what I wanted to get it, what I wanted to get into is this: if your child is tardy, the school could set out a chain reaction where the government itself will step in and say, hey, this child belongs to us. You better make sure that child go to school or we will fine you and take that child out of your custody and it will become a ward of the state.
Right.
Oh, remember what we read earlier, the warden and the governor.
Hey, hold up. Ain't the school principal the warden? Ain't the principal of the school the warden? Yes, sir. Now listen. Remember what I said in the other show, the page 2 in the student handbook, when they make, if your parents don't sign this page, you can't come back to school. You know what I'm talking about in that book on the first day of school. If your parents don't sign this page, you can't come back to school. Because Henry, when it comes to possession legally, what does it mean? How does the law dictate possession? That's 9/10 of the law, right?
Yes, yes.
So let me ask you a question. If you're saying, and that's page 2 of the handbook, when your children is at school, the school is got 100% possession of your kids.
Yeah.
During that time frame, who's the possessor of your children from the time the bell rings to the time the bell rings for them to leave school? That's why you can get hit with truancy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's why didn't Kamala Harris get people in trouble in California for that?
Yes, that's what I wanted to say
Black
earlier.
people in jail for truancy charges. Niggas didn't even know you could go to jail because your kid didn't go to school. We didn't even know that. It was so shocking to find out you got truancy and you going to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is some real stuff people need to start understanding. That's why a lot of people in the Black community, I don't know too much about the other communities, but people who I know, they homeschooling their kids after the 19. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing that because they starting to understand the principality of what's going on here.
Yeah, it's like you got sharecroppers who would be the serfs. You have the freeman who would be the people who going to school today. The like the Bible say in Levitation, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
So now I wanted to go into another piece of everything. I wanted to go into not just see people when they look at colonial time, they think it was just white, black, and Native American. This is a part of the story what we dealing with today. So let me go ahead and get it right.
Yes, sir. We getting into these blazings now.
Japan, China, and other places. Now, once in Mexico, all of these people became Chino slaves. 46.
Hey, and you know what's crazy, Henry? As I used to be
talking to some
folks from down south. I was talking to some folks from down south, when I was living in New York, some Mexicans, right? They thought I was a Chino because my eyes and because I got dark skin. They was like, "Oh, you was a Chinito," and da 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 da. And I had to explain to them that I'm not from no Asiatic descent. You know what I'm saying? So that can't apply to me, but I know what they was talking about. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, sir. We see that Asian slaves in colonial Mexico.
Okay, this is okay. Let's go.
Peace and love.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, we could. Go ahead, play that up.
Okay, let's drop it like it's hot.
Everybody, it's your host, Nikita X, and this is the 3rd episode of the show, Black Movement Radio. And the title today, we will be discussing how Asian slaves became Indians. I'm going to go into depth about how Chinos became reclassified as Indians or indigenous people. Moreover, while indigenous people were reclassified as African and Negroes, Chino slaves were allowed to obtain an indigenous identity and status. The main source of information used for this discussion will be from the book Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico, From Chinos to Indians by Tatiana Sayas.
Yeah.
You got to stop that. That was important to what we just said. Now bring back up that definition for these folks. Because what she just said about they was able to obtain full birthrights and status. Full birthrights and status. Isn't that what it just said when we was reading that system?
Yeah.
That a freeman has to have full rights and status of the city or the state in which they're residing in.
Yeah.
So we had to make sure we point that out directly, because that's part of the actual capital enslavement.
Yes, It's like to the point that hey, these people they came, they was laborers. See, people gotta understand like how these people who is Asian slaves was able to get citizenship. Think about it like this: they was employees.
It's the same way that they're doing it the same way that they're doing it today with these illegal immigrants. They're coming up in here, giving them goods and services in trade for the labor and the jobs that regular American citizenry ain't gonna work, like working in the dump or driving the garbage truck. Because I don't know about you, Henry, but I noticed that the majority of the people driving the garbage truck is immigrants.
Yeah.
I don't be seeing no, and I ain't trying to be racist, but I don't see no white people and no black people driving the garbage truck.
See, in Maryland, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't sugarcoat. I was working for a recycling company. Them Hispanics, they job. They would do some manipulating stuff for them to get their family member into that job position where people are like, oh, American people don't want them jobs. No, when working with a lot of these people who coming over here to get these jobs, they would manipulate the system to get you out.
And they'll manipulate it on a level where you can't even function against it. Because say, for example, now let me just do this. Let me just say this real quick. Because I was talking to my mom about this yesterday on the phone. That me and you, Henry, to do the same job in the recycling center, they got to pay us $20 minimum wage on that job off rip.
Yeah.
But these dudes coming from Mexico and South America, they paying them $7.25 instead for the low. Oh, you should get rid of Henry because you're paying him $20 an hour, and you can hire 3 of my cousins for the same 20.
Yeah.
You could hire 3 of my cousins for that same 20. $7. You know what I mean? That's $21 for 3 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $21 an hour. They paying you 20 for 1 man. And there's no way we can fight against it because there's no way that we can do some John Henry shit. We supposed to be doing 3 niggas work in 1 hour every day, all the time we come into work. Come on, Henry. I know black people is superhuman, but we ain't 3 times a human every minute of every day, bro.
So let me go ahead and play this so we can go ahead because we won't keep everybody for long. We want to get to the point real quick. So let's play this.
What's interesting here is that the subject of Asian slaves in Spanish America is not discussed or widely known. In fact, in Tatiana Sayas' book, she states that her book is the first that traces Chino origins in Asia. My goal in this particular episode is to touch on key points which is not readily known to the public. All right. After parts of Asia were conquered by the Spanish crown, Asian people were put into slavery on their own land and later on shipped to places such as Mexico, Peru, and Chile. In other words, they were shipped to Spanish-controlled colonies in America. Now, this is a quote from the book, Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico.
This is also part of Blackbirding. See, people don't want to also add that they brought Asians to America, not just the Chinese that worked on the railroad track.
They're talking about dark-skinned Asians too. Let's not forget that. They ain't talking about the white Asians.
Yes, this been going on from the beginning. These other Asians came later on, but these Asians were here from the beginning. So
yeah, we talking about. Hold on, Henry. Let's bring the groups out. We talking about Filipinos off the rip.
Wait. Hold up.
Oh, you bringing it out? All right, bring it out. Yeah, bring it out. I'll read
Can't
that.
see
I
it?
got it. Not yet, but we got it now. Filipinos was both enslaved and settled in Louisiana, and their history and state is complex and includes both the exploitation and their resilience. First, you got Manila Men, 1763. That was Filipino sailors with the Spanish, but they came from Manila. You know, Manila's in over there up in Philippines. Filipinos. Who else is that? Who else do we got, Henry? We got the Samoans.
Even wait. Just in 1763. That's before the war.
The United States.
So that's before the war 1812, right?
Right.
This before the Civil War. This in
Right.
colonial. This in colonial time before they burnt the White House.
This is before the Revolution.
Wait. Revolution?
Yeah, 1776. You talking about 14 more years left for the Revolution.
So now you got Asians documented in America during the time of Christopher Columbus.
Right.
Even in United States, before the American Revolution, before the War of 1812, you have Asians. So that's why you have a lot of Americans saying, hey, the Native Americans we see here today came from Asia. Right. Y'all do the DNA.
Hey, a lot of them. Hey, let's make sure we say it right too, because we ain't just talking about North America. We talking about a lot of South Americans too.
Yes. Chile.
A lot of South Americans look Asian because they are Asian.
Yes. Where they do DNA tests and say these Native Americans have Mongolian feature in them. Stop the cap. You knew exactly who you shipped over here as slaves. Y'all need to stop.
You know what's the moment? You know what's the messed up part about the DNA? Is niggas got invoices from 1700 knowing exactly how many Filipinos and Chinos and Indonesians and Papua New Guinea niggas and all type of niggas they sent here on the west coast of America into these shipping lanes. They know exactly who they sent over here. Trying to claim these people as indigenous to the land off blood tests.
Yes. So we see they brought Chinese here. Even on the last show, I showed that they enslaved gypsies. They brought more European, Eastern Europeans. they brought Asians here. You feel this is this slave system that y'all say that who is the indigenous people? Then who is them? Who was they? Where they are now? The same people that they the same people that
Let's put it this way, Henry. It's the only people they cannot export legally out of the United States by deportation. And if y'all don't know who it is, it's Negroes. Why they ain't deported no Negroes to Africa? Why they ain't deported no Negroes to Asia?
An Irishman can go back to Ireland.
African American cannot be deported.
An Englishman can go back to England. An Afghan can go back to Afghanistan. An African American could go back to Africa. But a Negro.
Yeah, but they gotta be able to prove you came from Nigeria or wherever to deport you.
If you African,
you know, the right of return.
Yeah, African American is someone who parents born in Africa and came to America to become a citizen.
Or they descend from somebody from Africa.
Not nobody who was enslaved here in America that was called Negro, colored, black.
Right.
That is not.
Or any other free. Don't forget too, any other free. Shout out to Dane Calloway. Any other freeman, any other free. Living in the, because if you was living in the territories, but you wasn't living on the land, you was living nomadic, you was considered any other free.
Yeah. So when we understand that, we understand that the slave trade and slavery in America was not the way that went down. Even with the American Civil War, we understood when they was going Missouri.
You know what we could call that, Henry?
Wait. Let me finish this part. Let me finish this.
That was a war between the laborers and the administration.
Hold up. We gotta add this part before the war.
Right.
The Missouri Compact. What happened was when they start formulating the territory of Missouri, you have some people who came out of from the state over Indiana. You have free land dwellers, and you have slave owners like, hey, we want to bring our employees. These are the big corporations. Like, hey, we want to incorporate these areas. We want labor for them. And you got people like, hey, no, we want this land to be free form. That means anyone who is a free man and who is able to come in the land and get the land. Not somebody who noble, not somebody who own land, part of the old neo-feudal system. No, we trying to industrialize it that everyone who have the trade could come in these territories and prosper. So it was a union dispute. The North and the South was union dispute. Nothing about slavery, because even after the war, we have Delaware still having slaves on the book. We still have them putting slavery is still justified if you get arrested.
Hey,
let me get in
on that. Hold on, let me get in on that because I've had experience with that. Right, I'll be in the car with my fellas, my boys, right? We chilling, smoking, driving, you know, we hotboxing. The Jakes will pull the car over, right? The police, they'll pull the car. And my other boy, he don't got no job, but I got a job. The cops, first thing they say, yo, you got a job? Yeah, I got a job. Then they ask my boy, yo, you got a job? No, I don't got a job. Let me see your ID and step out the car. The dude without the job, they're already going to search him. They're going to do all type of rights violation because it's not a rights violation because he's vagrant. People don't even know that. Once you tell the cops you don't got a job, you're vagrant to the law, meaning that you have no reason to be outside of your premise if you ain't got a job. You ain't got a job, but you out here smoking. You out here doing recreational activities. Let's put it that way. Let's put it more legal for people to understand how it's not violating your rights. So vagrancy means you're out here doing leisure activities without no labor to back up your leisure. So let's say this. You said the word leisure, right? Right. Ain't that dealing with ships? Ain't a ship got a leisure too? Oh, you mean a ledger, like a book? Yeah. So you got leisure, don't you, Henry? You know, Henry, you was in the military. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you want to request it, don't you got to request leave to go on your leisure? Yeah. So now, just like on a, you got to show your freedom paper. If you're going from one plantation to another. Not only that, Henry, if you're in the military, what do you got to show? Your MO. Now you got to show you on leave. You got to show them your leave documents. I'm on leave right now. You know what I mean? I'm on leave. Oh yeah. Because if you AWOL, they taking you. Yeah. So wait. So now we understand this. A street, a road, an avenue, a bullet board is none of that. None of that. A highway is not a highway. An interstate is not just an interstate.
What it all really is called interstate commerce. The interstate
Yep, it's a
commerce
canal or a
department.
river.
So now, when you deal with commerce, you deal with money. So if you on the road, you supposed to travel to and from work. You're not
Don't
allowed
forget
to
it's
be on
admiralty
the.
laws.
So if you is on a highway, not going to and from work or to and from buying and providing income to a business, you don't have no purpose being on the interstate commerce.
I got it right here too, because that's admiralty laws. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
When you're driving on the road, on the open road, the highways, the byways, the boulevards, the avenues, the streets, the circles, you know what I'm saying? The centers, these are considered canals. Even though it's not waterways, it's still considered a canal or a river because the way that they set it up, people don't understand. It's a sidewalk on each side of the street, correct?
Yeah.
So isn't that the embankment?
Yeah.
That's why it's a little bit higher than the street, right? It got a curb.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes it subject to admiralty laws. The fact that it's now a riverway or a canal.
Yeah.
People don't understand. They think just because you drive in a car, your car is not considered a boat.
No, it's a vehicle.
It's a vehicle, but a vehicle is still considered a boat in
Yeah.
admiralty laws because you're still the captain of that ship. When they say, oh, I need the license, I need to see your license and your registration for the vehicle. That's them saying, I need to know who's the captain of this vessel. And I need to see if this vessel is not a pirate vehicle.
Yes.
It's not piracy in this vehicle. That's why you get in so much trouble for not having your registration on your car. You can go to jail. Driving without a license, you can go to jail. Driving without insurance, you can go to jail. See, but why? Oh, because the ships in the yard, in the shipyard, and out there in the international water, gotta have the same thing. People don't understand. It's the same modus operandi. It's operating through the same system.
Yeah.
That's why you got to go in there and tell the judge if you're guilty or not guilty for crimes on the high sea. But you ain't even on the water. So how was it crimes on the high sea? Because you're not understanding the greater capacity of how the colony had put into the embedded into the system which we live, the admiralty laws, the laws in the high sea. You got to have that law to drive a car. That's why you need a license. It's called a commercial driver license. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah. So getting back to the subject, we dealing with businesses. We dealing with laws. We dealing with business laws.
Politics.
Yes. When we deal with business, we deal with commercial. Dealing with commercial, we dealing with commerce. And all this is what been going on with the Universal Church. The Catholics set this up as a form of business during the Roman age, and it carried on as feudalism. And feudalism came into America. And what America did, because this is a republic, we put in the people the notion of democracy, where it gives you the illusion that you are free. Illusion that you are free, but you are still worker. You just get to pick your representative. Your president is your representative to go speak. Like, hey, we gonna, like in the jailhouse, a trustee. You get the trustee to talk from the prisoners to the guard, a mediator, or you get a supervisor, a lead. You feel, a lead on the job, or a manager. Hello. So we seen that it had Asians here during colonial time. We seen that it had European and gypsy slaves here in America.
Right.
We seen the colonial system, or the plantation itself is not what we see in the movie. We just destroyed that notion, period. That the plantation was outside of the city, way in the woods where they keep the slaves and everything, the African American slaves, and then the white people was just the overseer. No, that's cap. They capitalize. Like rap a lot, they capitalize.
Capitalism.
Yeah. Capitalism.
Fuck all that. Yeah. Hey, we gonna have to start saying cap. That's cap. But we ain't talking about like how people in the street talking. We talking, that's capitalism. That's cap. Nigga.
Yep, capitalism.
Like, all caps, nigga. That's all caps.
Well, by saying, "Oh, I gotta pay this bill." Well, that's straight capitalism, baby.
That's straight cap. Oh.
Yeah. So we gonna.
They like, oh, we gotta go hit the store up to get these Dutches, nigga. Yes, that's all cap, right? Yeah, that's all cap.
So I'm not trying to keep everybody long or whatever. We already made it to 1 hour and 21 minutes. So I just want to drop us off. We gonna come with another show. It was like a fast zoom through that we bring a little reading to you, a little piece of video, a little piece of information to at least get people started looking for information.
And don't forget, Henry, because we already went through this stuff in details on past shows. All they got to do is go and look at them past shows where we actually went into depth on these subjects. Yeah. And we're talking about the individual subjects that are connected to this greater subject we're bringing up, such as these Asiatic slaves and the different types of fundamental governmental system they was using against us, apprenticeship, journeyman. We already have shows that we went over this type of stuff on it.
Oh, I just wanted to show this piece right here. Let me get to it. Like, stop sharing.
Yeah, I already knew it. Come on, bro. You know I'm on point with it. I'm on tag.
Before we call it a night, I want y'all to see that, hey, some people might say, "Oh, Henry, you a liar. The information you show that woman with that book is a lie." Let me go to something that provided by the government.
Right.
It's free. It's for the public. It's a broadcast, and everybody know about it.
It's all caps too, brother. Don't ever forget that. Don't make me pull my ID out. It's all caps.
So now, let's do this. We're going to go to Newsroom 16 YouTube channel. So now, we're going to go into video. We're going to go here. Let me grab. Now.
On ahead, let's get it.
Yes, I'm about to show y'all something that y'all would at least suspect. Oh, by the time, let me tell y'all something. By the time of the American Revolution, Great Britain Empire was in India. It was already in Africa. It was globally. You feel that? I mean, they had Chinese slaves, they had Indian slaves, they had slaves all over the globe. Or you can say,
hey, people don't even realize too, Henry. Let me say something real quick about what you're talking about. Now they gotta understand. In India, they had the caste system wars. England. They had the caste system wars between the Indian Hindus and the Muslims during that time you're talking about. And in China, they had the opium wars.
Yeah.
Just so people don't know, this drug addiction stuff is over 300, 400 years old. They've been plotting.
Yeah. Is it full screen?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, play that up.
Let's go into it.
It's hard to imagine now, but 160 years ago, Northern Virginia was the site of some of the most brutal battles of the Civil War. Among the Union soldiers who fought here in May of 1864 was a Muslim man, a recent immigrant from Afghanistan named Muhammad Khan. Why he would risk his life here and what happened next is described in his military records, recently discovered in the National Archives in Washington, D.C.
I've pulled tens of thousands of files over the years. This is probably the only, if not among a handful of descriptions of Islam in a Civil War document. That's what really struck me. And I was like, this is gold.
Yeah, that's kind of wild, bro.
This film. So I just wanted to show that for the racist people, for the people who misunderstand where we coming from. Before the Civil War, during the Civil War, you have people from Afghanistan, Muslims.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Not just Muslims from West Africa, Timbuktu or something, but Muslims all the way from Afghanistan. These are Asians.
Fighting the American Civil War, brother.
Fighting the American Civil War. And all y'all can remember is American King. What was that with Leonardo da Vinci? No, Leonardo DiCaprio. Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York, yeah.
Where the English people in the city who been in America, who born nationalized citizens who was born here, start beefing with the Irish immigrants who start coming later. So if the Irish was part of the Great Britain Empire, that means the Afghan was, the India was, Australia was, Canada was, Jamaica was. So they had a lot of money.
Hold on, Henry. I gotta bring something out for them too, you know. I gotta make a confirmation on that real quick, right? If this man came all the way from Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
Because people is gonna want us to make that make sense, right? We gotta make it make sense. Because they're gonna be like, oh, that's just one Afghanistan person from fighting in the war. But what did they say? What was he fighting for? Who was he fighting for?
Yeah.
What side of the war was he fighting for?
The Union.
Right. And who is heavily invested in the victory of the Union against the Confederacy? Who is heavily invested in the Union, meaning monetarily, in order for them to beat the Confederacy? Who is invested?
Who that?
Come on, bro. We know the Crown. The Crown of England was heavily invested in Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Winning that war. That's why he said he had no choice, because he had to keep the colonies together. He had to keep the United States unified. That's because the Crown forced it on him.
Look.
There you go, right? Show it. Show it, right?
He doing his Masonic pose, you feel? Like when we see
the ass above, so below pose.
Yeah. You feel?
The Baphomet, right. The Baphomet.
Look what it say at the top. It say freedom for all, both black and white. Look. They only show on one side. They only showing you the African man or the native. That's a native, because you see the native robes and everything. You see the child curly hair and everything. So look over. We see two. we see the natives, or you would say the African American, the Negro, and then you see the European. They both begging him for freedom. You got chains on both sides.
Hold on. What is he holding in his hand? What is he holding below? It looks like it says the Declaration of Independence to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The Bill of Rights. Hey, Henry, let me ask you a question, man, because I know you got a straight up job. When you got hired, didn't they make you sign that paper?
Oh, yeah.
That contract paper?
Yeah. How much?
Ain't that the same paper that them slaves was signing too, right?
Yes,
We
how
was
much
Kanye
taxes
right
going to the government? Yeah, how much taxes going to the government? That I'm coming to work, how much wages that I'm working that we agree to. So now,
and they got it on record. Let's not front. They got it on record. That's why people be thinking, I ain't going to tell the government I'm working. And they really already know. If they're taking taxes off you, they know.
Yes, they already know. As to the point that I want people to understand this. Before we shut this show down for the night, I want people to understand this. The slave system as we know it in American book is fake. They had European, Asian, American, African slaves here in America.
Right.
It was a penal colony for people that was prisoners of war, political prisoners, religional prisoners, or just criminals outright. United States was that place to ship them, so to build a new frontier. So
and they still haven't stopped that, Henry. They still haven't stopped that, because I know people that when they got knocked off in America, we're talking about in the United States, in Rhode Island, niggas got knocked off, sent to a whole nother state like Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, because that's where they allow manual labor on your job, forced labor. Not no out, because in Rhode Island, if you work a job, like say, if I'm gonna go wax the floors in the state house, or I'm gonna go do the yard work for them at the state house or the state properties, right? They gotta pay me here in Rhode Island. They gotta pay me, bro, in order for me to do that. It's voluntary service by payment, by actual wages still. But if you get hit up like for murder, or you get hit up home invasion, or some heavy charges like capital crime type stuff, they send you to states where they can force you to do the labor. The chain gang type.
Federal penitentiary. If you get locked up in Rhode Island in the federal penitentiary, you might wind up in Texas, in Beaumont, because Beaumont is a major spot for federal institution. So we understand, and I want other people to understand, that the Civil War was not fought over slavery. It was a union dispute. It was a labor dispute.
It was like the administration against the employees.
They was going from a neo-feudal system to now industrial system, because we gotta remember. Wait. You gotta remember. Hold up.
Hold on, because we gotta get the terms right. If it was a neo-feudalism, it had to go to emancipatory industrialization. Because remember, the emancipation part is very important to the industrialization. Because remember what emancipation means in the definition. It means to go from being enslaved by a private entity to a public entity.
Yeah.
Meaning that if your birth certificate and your social security card is public records, that means you are an emancipated body to the industrialization.
Yeah. So I gotta drop out. We gotta drop out because we got bills to pay. We got food to eat. We gotta lay it down. We got work. We got everything else. But we wanted to make sure we had the time to drop some information. If you just dropped on and you did not get the information from the start, please go back into the show, watch it, comment, share. Get more people involved in the live chats. Come on. Because hey, we doing things. We are building up. We creating shorts. We creating the live. It took a while for us to do a show because we've been taking over the TikTok world, and we doing things, and we gonna work together to make sure that we never in the working service. So you got anything, Shin Alchemist, before we end the show?
Hey, all I gotta say is stay positive. We know it's a negative ass world out here with how they be trying to operate, but that's why we out here releasing the system and giving you the tricks of the trade based on vocabulary and historical documentation and the meaning and up into the modern day occurrence of these themes in order for you, me, Henry, and everybody else to realize it's all caps, because all they want to do is capitalize on our labor and capitalize on our monetary value. And we just got to remember that. You know what I mean? And we just got to keep a positive mental, because we're going to overthrow their system, because without us, their shit don't run. That's all we trying to prove out here with everything that we saying. Without the laborers, there's no money. Why you think the administration wanted to go to war with the Confederacy? Because you know what I mean? Because the laborers went on strike. Let's be honest. People went on strike.
So I hope everybody have a good night. Much love and care and blessings.
Hey.